Inravio.com.
Hello again, everybody. This is Joe Larson, and you're watching the 5 Off 5 On Racing Show. Welcome. Hope everybody had a nice week, good weekend. Although the weather wasn't totally cooperative, a lot of good racing happened this weekend here in the Northeast. And we'll talk about the World Series at the Thompson Speedway Motorsports Park up in Connecticut. We'll talk about that in a little bit. And we'll talk about Talladega, and of course, they have the big one as always, and we'll talk about that and, in my opinion, what could be done to stop that, the big one. They didn't have the big one back in the 50s and well, actually the 60s when the track was built in the 70s. It was just good, hard racing. But anyway, I wanted to start with Phil Kurz, the president and CEO of Whelen Engineering, the title sponsor of the Whelen Modified Series. As we discussed a week or so ago, had gone in for some surgery. And I'm happy to report that Phil is home and doing well. Phil wanted to thank everybody for their prayers, their thoughts, their cards, their messages, their Facebook posts, and everything else they got. He was overwhelmed by the outpouring of the racing community for his well wishes. And I say the racing community, it's kind of funny. When you look at the racing community and the people around racing and whose passion is to do what we do, whether you're a driver, an owner, a crew guy, a sponsor, a fan, a fence grabber, whatever you are when it comes to racing, when something happens to somebody in our racing community, the outpouring is just incredible. And I want to, my hat's off to the Thompson Speedway Motorsports Park for the tribute that they did to our fallen friend, TC Ted Christopher, in the garage. For those who've never been to the Thompson Motorsports Park, there's a garage. It holds about 30 teams and their equipment. So if you're in the top, in the points, you get to park in the garage. It's like you're in the Cup Series. Well, anyway, garage stall number 13 was roped off like a museum with a tribute to Teddy Christopher. And the bunting was hung over the garage door, similar to when a volunteer firefighter on Long Island, and I guess anywhere, when they put that purple and black bunting for a fallen friend. And it was roped off, and there was a picture of Teddy in his getting out of the car pose, that he won. And it listed his wins at championships, and then it said, Ted Christopher, all the wins, this championship, and on the bottom it said just one badass race car driver. And I'll tell you what, I've watched him race for a long time, and I know I've said this a million times. He was one heck of a race car driver. And when you look at that, when you look at a guy like Ted Christopher, the track did a tribute before the tour race. They two trumpet guys played a song on his behalf. Dave Sapienza, his car is done up in the red and the 36 with the Ali sponsorship, as it was 10 or so years ago when Teddy drove for Eddie Whelan. And when you look at that kind of stuff, even Woody Pitkat in his Sunoco Modified, as they call him at Thompson, painted up identical to a Ted Christopher car. And you look at that and you're like, wow. And I remember other competitors passing, whether by natural causes or tragically racing or whatever. And I don't remember the outpouring being as great. I didn't see, John Blue with the third tribute cars. I didn't see Tom Baldwin tribute cars or Charlie Dizombach tribute cars or Richie Evans. You didn't see that. And I don't know if it's because social media wasn't big then. I mean, it was non-existent when Charlie and Richie drove. But, you know, when JB was running, and, you know, social media was kind of just taking off. You know, yeah, Jamie Tomeno on the back of his hauler had a picture of John in the clouds with his race car. You know, yeah, you had that. There were a lot of decals and stickers, but nothing like this Ted Christopher tributes. Stafford Motor Speedway in Connecticut did it. You know, like I said, Thompson did it. New London Waterford Speed Bowl has Teddy's pit spot, like a shrine. Like I said, you didn't see that. Stafford Motor Speedway retired his number. Nobody, as long as their roots own Stafford Motor Speedway, will ever have car number 13 in an SK modified. And I'll tell you what, it's touching. It's touching, and I've said this before, and I'll say again, I consider Ted Christopher a friend, albeit a racing friend. We didn't spend off season having dinner at each other's houses or hopping on the ferry and meeting each other on opposite ends. He lived up in Connecticut, and here I am on Long Island. But he was the type of guy I could call him and say, hey, Teddy, I need a favor. And what do you need? I would say, hey, Teddy, what are you doing Monday at 7:30? Call into my show, and then let's talk some stuff. Hey, Teddy, I'm here with my camera guy. Can I get an interview? You know, whatever I needed. And that's the type of guy he was. And the boos that he faced with every time he was introduced have turned to cheers now. The cheers for, I'm going to say, a fallen hero. You know, and one of the drivers, Keith Rocco, who Teddy Christopher was his mentor, you know, made a comment in Victory Lane, and people went wild in a good way, you know, when he made that comment. And you know, the 3-tap rule is still in effect, you know, and nobody was better at the 3-tap rule than Ted Christopher. And one guy, and Dave Sapienza came in when the race was over. His front bumper was up against the sheet metal. And if those who've ever seen a modified bumper can understand what I'm saying, you know, and he posted a picture on social media and said TC would have been proud, and yeah, he would have been. He would have been. And like I said, I went around the Thompson Motorsports Park pit area this past weekend on Saturday and Sunday, and the Teddy Christopher tributes were everywhere. Some cars had big Teddy Christopher tributes. Others had his old sponsors on their cars, whether or not they got sponsorship dollars for it, but it was there. So, and I just hope that wherever Teddy is, he's looking down and he's seeing this. You know, they say that once you get in, you know, go through the pearly gates, you lose those feelings, but I don't think you do. I don't think you do. And I think what happens is when you get up there, you know, you're in the best physical condition you ever were in your life, because that's what your soul does, in my opinion. And if you were a race car driver here on Earth, I think you're up there racing, you know, I call it Heaven Motor Speedway, because I don't know, I don't think you just stop. Yeah, maybe you come back and try it again. But that's a whole different show. That's not a racing thing. But I was impressed with what I saw at the Thompson Motorsports Park this weekend. And you know, we're in the off season, at least for the modifieds and for the weekly racing series, and it was all good. But so while we're talking about the Thompson Motorsports Park, let's real quick go over what went on with the Whelen Modified Tour there. The winner of the race, Timmy Solomino, who had a shot at the championship going in, he needed to win. Doug Colby just needed to finish 8th or worse. And Timmy did his part. Doug made sure that he retained. So Timmy Solomino won the race. Chase Dowling was 2nd, followed by Ron Silk. Roman Pennick was 4th. Doug Colby, the ultimate champion, was 5th. Andrew Krause 6th. Woody Pitcat 7th. Dave Sapienza 8th. Jamie Tomeno, all the way from North Carolina, 9th. And Justin Bonsignor, who was a title contender throughout and going into this race, just got caught up in some stuff, rounded out the top 10. With that being said, 35 cars took the green flag, or were scheduled to take the green flag. I think one team did not make the race. There was a practice crash that, in my opinion, should not have ever happened. A car came out of the pit area as he was told to do. The gate was open, come on, and the tower told the flagman, let's go green. Now, I've worked the tower, and one of the things you're supposed to do, and maybe it was an oversight, you're supposed to say, are all gates closed? Is everybody ready? And I don't believe that happened. I believe it was, all right, flagger, because you have the cars circling the track. And they went green, and then I guess somebody coming in, and this was John Baker, was waved up the ramp to go onto the racetrack, and unfortunately, he crashed into Timmy Solomino. Timmy Solomino had to go to a backup car later on because his primary car was not fixable. And Timmy got in a backup car, and with 0 laps of practice, went on to win this event. Very emotional victory lane. Emotional because, yeah, you won, but you didn't get that big prize. And as the track announcer was interviewing him, they said, actually it was Derek Pernisiglo for NBC Sports, said, sometimes you got to lose one before you can win one. Now, I've heard that said over and over in my lifetime. I've heard it said, and I understand it, but if it's like this close and you reach out and you just fall short, no, you don't have to lose one before you go win one. So we'll see what next year brings. I know Timmy will be back with the Flamingo Motorsports team in 2018, and with Derek Sanderson and the boys there, who are a very, very competitive team. And when they show up to a racetrack, they show up with the thought that they're going to win. And when they do not win, it's a disappointment. So they did win the last one. And winning the last race of the year is kind of funny. The late Chris Young said this to me years ago. He said, Joe, when you win on Saturday night during the season, it's a good feeling. And you could brag all week. But Saturday, you got to do it all over again. When you win the last race of the season, you got bragging rights all winter long until opening night. We'll be right back.
Hey, what's up? Oh, I was going to say what's up for some reason. Hey, we're Set It Up, and you're watching the Inravio TV network.
Village Music Shop of Mastic. 1-800-HEY-DUDE. Your full-service store with personalized attention, school band instrument rentals and sales, music instruction on all instruments for all styles and age groups, for guitars, drums, amplifiers, PA systems, and accessories. It's Village Music Shop, 1495 Montauk Highway in Mastic. Call 1-800-HEY-DUDE or go to villagemusicshop.com.
Hi there, this is Buddy from Less Than Jake, and you are listening to Inravio TV. You're probably watching it too.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. All right, let's talk so much about the race itself. The champion, Doug Coby, his 5th NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour Championship. Doug Coby was the champion, as I said. Timmy Solomino, 2nd in the points. Justin Bonsignore, 3rd. Rowan Pennick, 4th. Eric Goodale in the top 5 in points, followed by Ryan Preece, who missed 2 races, 6th in points. Dave Sapienza, 7th in points. Matt Swanson, 8th. Rob Summers, 9th. And Craig Lutz finished 10th in the points. One of the things I want to point out, 5 of the top 10 NASCAR Whelen Modified Point champions, I'm going to call them, because they're all champions in my head, are from Long Island, which not so long ago would have been unheard of. We wouldn't have had, and I say we, Long Islanders, wouldn't have had anybody back in the top 10 back in the day. It was a tough nut to crack. And you know, when you look at it, the Modified Tour seems to go in cycles. For the longest time, it was a bunch of New Englanders that were always the guys to beat. You know, think about it. They had the Stafford Motor Speedway, Thompson Motorsports Park in Connecticut, the New London Waterford Speedbowl, and they also had Seekonk, Mass, and up in Mass, track no longer operating, the Riverside Park. So those guys, you know, they were the big fish in the little pond. They're going tour racing. Then for a while it was the Jersey gang. They used to call it the Bryce Tour, because, you know, Bill Bryce, Mary Bryce, Lisa Bryce, and Bill Bryce the third. They kind of oversaw what went on in the touring series. And I can remember Bill Bryce telling me when I came on board, you know, the guys from Long Island, there was only a couple back, you know, 15, 20 years ago. There were only a couple from Long Island. You know, you had your Tom Baldwin, J.R. Bertuccio from time to time. But you know, he used to call it that's the Wrong Island gang, the Wrong Island gang. Now when you look at it, you know, Timmy Solomino from Long Island, Justin Bonsignore, Long Island, Eric Goodale, Long Island, Ryan Preece, a Long Island owner in Ed Partridge, Dave Sapienza, a Long Islander, Craig Lutz, a Long Islander, and Craig Lutz, a young kid. He's going to be around for a long time, as is Timmy and Justin and Eric. You know, only Dave Sapienza is up there in age, but when you look at the changing of the guard in the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour, yeah, Doug Coby's the champion. It's 5 out of 6 years in a row winning a championship. And Doug won the championship in 2012, 2014, 2015, 2016, 2017. The only year that he did not win the championship was in 2013, and that was Ryan Preece driving for Ed Partridge, the owner of the Riverhead Raceway on Long Island. Mike Cimriglio III was with Doug Coby for 4 of those 5 championships. And the last 4, and Wayne Darling was Doug's championship owner in 2012. And when you look at that, and you look at Doug Coby, now Doug Coby, I believe this year only won one race, and last year only won 2. A couple of years back, he won like 13. He was winning all the time. And when you look at a guy like Doug Coby, and I can remember when Doug Coby, when I first met him, it was probably 2003. He was struggling to get a ride. He was bouncing from car to car. And I can remember we got new decals for the tour holder, and I was the race director right then. And I needed to find somebody that could put it on. And I remember I grabbed Doug and I said, Doug, you're not doing nothing right now. You know how to do this? And he did. There wasn't one air bubble in it. You know, and that's how I met Doug Coby. But when you look at the NASCAR with the Modified Tour now, the way it is, there's big changes, big changes. You know, I know when they had the Southern Modified Tour, and now some people are calling it the Combined Tour, now that the Southern Tour is gone. You know, for those who don't know that's how it was. It was only supposed to be for a couple of years until the southern teams caught up to the northern teams, and then it was going to be a combined tour, and not called a combined tour. It was going to be called the NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour. And there were a couple of southern, Burt Myers was up from North Carolina to race it. Jamie Tomeno, who had started or attempted to compete in every single NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour that there was since 1985, I believe only missing one race in Riverhead when he got bumped by a past champions provisional. But he's moved down to North Carolina with sponsorship help. He came up and raced that race. And like I said, 36 teams showed up to race. This is how it used to be every week, if not more. And it was nice to see that. It was nice to see full fields, the garage area full. I remember looking at it, they were trying to find spots on Thursday night to put teams in. And it looked good. And I think this is going to be what 2018, this is the start of 2018 for the NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour. I think you're going to see a handful more drivers. You're going to see teams coming into the tour that might not have been, and one of the reasons I say that, and I don't mean this in any disrespect to any weekly racing series racetrack that runs tour-type modifieds or SK-type modifieds, I think what happens with the shorter schedule and more money to be earned and a larger point fund, you're going to see some of these teams come up to the tour. And I say that because a lot of the weekly racing series racetracks have gone to, and I'm going to call them limited schedules. It used to be, and I know I started driving myself at ISA Speedway in 1978, and with my race partner and wrench man, he did everything. I just drove it, wrecked it, and he fixed it. We didn't look at the schedule on Friday night or Saturday or any time during the week because we raced every week from opening day to the end. And now you're seeing a lot of racetracks that don't do that. They do not do that any longer. Your main division, your feature division as it's called, if you have a 24-week season or a 26-week season, maybe they're running 18. I don't understand why you wouldn't want to run every week. Maybe financially it's a big nut to crack every week, but this is what happens when you don't run these guys every week. There's no incentive. There's no incentive to go there now. Oh wait, there's a race at this track. It pays a little more, I'm gonna go. Oh, there's another touring series that's starting up. I think I'm gonna go to that. And I've always said that, make it so that they want to come every week, whether it's a weekly series or a touring series. Like I said, it costs a little bit more to race the tour because of the travel, the safety equipment. Not that the weekly guys don't have the same safety equipment as far as driver and car components are concerned. But at your weekly racing series, you don't have to have your pit crews in fireproof suits and fireproof underwear and the shoes and the helmets and the gloves. You don't see that. You don't have to have that because you're not having live pit stops. But when you look at that, when you look at what's changing here, you're like, wow. And you got to ask yourself why, and I'm going to not pick on Craig Lutz, but I'm going to use his name for this. Craig Lutz, his dad raced in one of the support divisions here on Long Island for years. And now the kid's going to go modified racing. And yeah, he did some SKs and at this track, that track, and the other track. And for whatever reason, now he's going tour modified or tour type modified racing. And he doesn't stay at his local racetrack. He moves on to a touring series. Yeah, he's a young guy, and maybe he's looking to move up in the ranks. I'm sure we all were at one point as race car drivers, with that dream that you want to go to the big time. Everybody's idea of the big time is a little different. But you use the tour as a stepping stone. Then you start going to other racetracks, getting your name out there, securing sponsorship. And that's what it's all about. And that's what needs to be done here. The weekly racing series should be feeding the touring series, and the touring series should be feeding the top three. It's starting to happen. And the only downside to that is it's no longer based on talent. You know, it used to be years ago, you know, you hear about, you know, some guy, he's tearing it up at his local racetrack. So somebody comes up and sticks him in their car in a big series somewhere, in a big race. And then the eyes are on that driver, guy or gal, and hey, you know what, let's move him up. Let's give him a Camping World Truck Series ride. Let's give him an Xfinity ride. Hey, if he could do all right there, maybe we get a cup opportunity from a la Ryan Preece, who cut his teeth on short tracks in Connecticut, won modified tour racing, ended up driving for one of the best car owners, I'm gonna say, that I've ever heard of. And that's, you know, Ed Partridge, or Ed and Connie Partridge, because they're a team. They do everything together. And speaking of Ed and Connie Partridge, Ed Partridge, like I said earlier, is the champion owner of the NASCAR Wheel and Modified Series for 2017. A lot of people say, wait a minute, isn't the driver who wins the championship, isn't his owner the champion car owner? Not in this case here. Mike Smigler III, owner of Doug Colby's part, MS3 Racing as they call it, were beat out by Ed Partridge and his team, because when Ryan Preece could not come, he had 2 times, I believe, that he had to race the Xfinity car for Joe Gibbs, and another time where he was getting married, Ed Partridge put somebody else in the car, and I believe it was George Brunhutzel III and John McKennedy, and they had good outings, and so therefore Ed Partridge is the NASCAR Wheeling Modified owner champion for the first time in the history of the Modified Tour. A champion owner was not the owner of the champion car. And hats off to Ed and Connie Partridge and the entire TS Hauler race team, because that's no easy feat. That is no easy feat, and that's commitment, that's dedication. You know, not that Mike Smurgler doesn't. Let me tell you something. Mike has a full-time crew, full-time crew chief. When you look at their team, they show up at that racetrack professionally. They look professional. They act professional, and not to knock anybody, because I know what it's like. But when you have a team that, no matter what time of the weekend you see them, their pants are clean, their race team shirts are clean, and no put down to any of the teams that, you know, that, listen, the clothes I come to the racetrack in, I'm going to be in all weekend, and yeah, I'm going to get dirty, and I'm going to crawl into my car, and I'm going to do stuff. But when you look at Doug Colby's team, the professionalism is there. And again, my hat's off to teams like that. And, you know, Ed Partridge, his team is one of those teams as well. And there's a few of them, and I don't want to put anybody down, but, you know, it's tough sometimes, and, you know, it's all about, it costs a lot of money to put your team in a uniform every weekend. These guys don't come to the racetrack with just one shirt, one pair of pants. They come prepared to represent their team and their sponsors in a professional way. And that's big. That says a lot. It says a whole lot on what it's like to be part of a race team. And again, nothing against teams that don't have that kind of money, because, you know, they get an extra $1,000. They're not buying T-shirts. They're going to buy a set and a half of tires. They're going to buy, you know, 20 gallons of fuel. They're going to pay the guy who towed their race car to the racetrack with gas in his hauler. That's what it's all about. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Remington.
I'm Emerson.
And I'm Sebastian.
We're Palais Royale, and you're watching Inravio TV.
There we go.
The world of advertising has changed. Radio, TV, and newspaper revenues have declined drastically. Why? Because businesses have realized that advertising return on investment isn't what it used to be. So what can we do about it? Well, that's easy. Advertise online. Own a local restaurant, real estate agency, or even a national retail chain? Whatever your business, Inravio can get your message out there, and we can do it at a fraction of the cost. Call today and see the difference for yourself. This isn't TV. This isn't radio. This is Inravio.com.
Spooky Walk at Camp Aquatic, Friday and Saturday, October 20th and 21st.
27th, and 28th. Located on Montauk Highway between Center Mauritius and East Mauritius. $20 per person. All proceeds benefit the camp. Take the LIE to 69S or Sunrise Highway to 59S. Go to the end and turn right. Go to Montauk Highway and turn left. Spooky Walk brought to you by the Mauritius Bay Squaws. Go to SpookyWalk.com for more info.
Hey, this is Chris Less Jake, and if Inravio.com spots you at an event wearing this bracelet, they will give you $100.
Village Music Shop of Mastic. 1-800-HEY-DUDE. Your full-service store with personalized attention, school band instrument rentals and sales, music instruction on all instruments for all styles and age groups, for guitars, drums, amplifiers, PA systems, and accessories. It's Village Music Shop. 1495 Montauk Highway in Mastic. Call 1-800-HEY-DUDE or go to villagemusicshop.com.
Hi, this is Mike Jarecki from My Race News, and you're watching the Inravio TV network.
Hey, welcome back. Welcome back. Yeah, this weekend my racing travels are going to continue. And for those who know, it's a little difficult for me to get around on one foot, so to speak. I'm still recovering from the reconstruction surgery. But tossing the dice this weekend, whether we go up to the King of the Green at the Evergreen Raceway up in Pennsylvania, or go down to the Jersey Shore to the Wall Township Speedway there and do some legend racing. Not me personally, although I'd love to, but you know, the way this contraption's on my right foot, it hits the brakes and the gas at the same time. And I've been under strict instructions from my doctor, non-weight bearing. So I guess stepping on a gas pedal would require some weight. So I really need this to heal properly. And when it's all done and ready to go, I'll be ready to go as well. But anyway, Evergreen or Wall. So I don't know where you guys and gals are headed, but I'm leaning towards Wall for some reason. But I always have a great time at Evergreen. And Evergreen helps me remember my good old buddy WJ, who dragged me there one cold Saturday, some 4 years ago or so. But anyway, there's still stuff going on all over the place, so it'll be good. So anyway, the Camping World Truck Series, they were at the Talladega Speedway down in Alabama. And Parker Klingerman took down the win there with Christopher Bell second. Matt Schneider was third. Grant Enfinger fourth, followed by Austin Cindric. Fifth, John Hunter Nemechek in sixth. Vinnie Miller seventh. Clay Greenfield was eighth. Matt Crafton ninth. And Tyler Young rounding out the top 10 there. The Camping World Truck Series points and playoffs look like this. Christopher Bell is leading the top of the points there, followed by Johnny Sauter, Matt Crafton third, John Hunter Nemechek fourth, Ben Rhodes fifth, and Austin Cindric is sixth in those points there. And just a reminder, I'm going to say this again, the Spooky Walk at Camp Pawcatuck, Friday and Saturday, October 20th and 21st. And again, the 27th and 28th, $20 per person at the gate. All proceeds to benefit the camp for special needs children and adults. Located on Montauk Highway between Center Mauritius and East Mauritius. To get there, you take the Long Island Expressway to exit 69 South, or the Sunrise Highway, Route 27 to exit 59 South. Go to the end, turn right, go to Montauk Highway, and turn left. This is brought to you by the Mauritius Bay Squaws. So if you want to have a good time and be scared and frightened and do some screaming, spooky walk at Camp Pawcatuck. So it's all fun, folks. It's all fun. Anyway, what are we looking at? So the Camping World Truck Series. Now, I always felt that the Camping World Truck Series race trucks should not be on racetracks like Talladega or Daytona or any of those big tracks. I prefer to see these competitors at mile racetracks and less. I wouldn't even mind seeing them run at a half-mile venue somewhere. Bristol, they put on an awesome show there. Martinsville, again, awesome show. If some of the weekly racing series tracks had enough seats, I'd love to see them race there as well. Can you imagine? Now think about this. Think about here on Long Island, for those who live here, or lived here, or drove through here, Iso Speedway. It was touted as a quarter mile in some racing books. In others, it was a fifth of a mile. But think about in the 60s, when the Grand National, also known as the Monster Energy Drink NASCAR Cup Series, raced at Iso Speedway. Think about that. Think about it. And they go 300 laps, beating and banging and grinding, the sparks flying. Why not have a truck race at a place like that, like Eldora? Man, that was some good racing. That was some good racing. But and I'm going to say this, but to watch the trucks race out in Daytona or Talladega, I'd rather watch paint dry in 3 different rooms over the course of a weekend. It's boring. And what NASCAR needs to do, they need to take a look at that. They need to take a look at their TV ratings and say, why are the ratings down? Why are people not watching? Trust me, you put a good product out there, people are going to watch. And some people watch these races to see the wrecks, and yes, oh, Talladega is great. Oh, here comes the big one, great. And oh, let me rewind that so I can watch it again. Yeah, I'm not one of those people that wants to see the wrecks because people get hurt in wrecks. I'm a card-carrying member of getting hurt in a wreck that 21 years later, I'm having reconstructive surgery to fix what I did in a wreck. I like to see good hard racing. I like to see side by side. I like to see the pushing and the shoving and the sparks flying in the night race. I like that. And I think a true race fan likes to see that as well. They like to see, like, coming off a turn 4 as a checker flares away, 3 guys or 3 guys bumping and banging to get that checker flag. You know, not who's 10 laps down, 20 laps down, a lap car gets in the way. Nobody wants to see that. You know, to me, that's not racing. It's not fun. It's not fun. And I just wish that the powers to be, you know, I often wonder, and it's not even a wonder because I know the answer to this. Do the powers to be watch their product on TV? No, they can't, because they're at the event. And, you know, it's like, how do I put this? You know, we all have that one friend who works for ABC company, and as far as that friend is concerned, ABC company is the best company on, not only on Earth, in the universe, because they're not looking at it objectively. That's where they work, they pay their bills, the check clears. Yep, this is the best place to work for, you know? But if you step out of that box a little bit and you say, is it really the best company to work for? Do we really make the best widgets? Do we really put the best product out on TV? I don't know. Think about the World Series that's going to be coming up. Don't you think the advertisers and the TV people want to see a New York, LA World Series? They don't want to see a small town, so to speak, against another small town. They want to see the markets, the big place, because they know the advertising dollar for a New York, LA World Series would be, wow. But a Milwaukee, like, and I'm only picking up Milwaukee, not even in the hunt, but a Milwaukee, Houston thing, okay, yeah, all right, yeah, okay, who won? And NASCAR is no different. NASCAR needs to start taking a look at stuff like that. They need to say, hey, you know, what do we got to do to get people to watch this? See, they thought the playoff thing, which started out as the chase, and they got all this excitement so people would want to watch on Sunday instead of watch the NFL. And they thought that was the fix, and it's not. It wasn't. It wasn't. TV ratings in NASCAR are down drastically. Just look at the empty seats. Now, I want to preface that empty seat deal with, those seats are sold, folks. Don't think they're not making money, because they make you pay for that seat a week after last year's race. And, you know, of course, you buy it to keep. It's like having season tickets to the Jets or the Giants or the Yankees or Mets or whatever team you root for. You don't want to lose them. They're in your will. I will my season tickets to, you know, my fourth born. And so what happens is, and the scalpers, you know, all these people, they buy them up, and all those websites that buy the tickets, oh yeah, we'll take them, and they're outside. You go outside, it's like they have a deck of cards now. Who needs tickets? Who needs tickets? You know, and they end up not being used. I would rather see those people just give them away at that point. Give them away. Give them to somebody who can't afford to go. But that's what's happening. The product is not what it used to be, and the playoff thing and the chase was supposed to fix that. It did not. And you look at this NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour this past weekend. 5 teams had a mathematical shot to win the championship that day. And the whole race, not only the announcers, but myself too, because I watch races a little bit different than the average person, you know, saying, where are those 5 guys? And I'm in my head figuring out the points. Okay, now, right now this guy's the champ. Oh, wait, no. Oh, that's right, he led a lap. Oh, now he led the most laps, so there's more points on. That's what people want to see. Give the announcers something to talk about to make that race exciting. And when you have a team that's running away with things during the season, there's ways to fix that. Think about the Richard Petty days when he was winning races like at will. You don't think NASCAR was breaking his shoes every week. Yeah, it was good because he had a fan base and he was one of the first of big corporate sponsorship, but they needed to make the races competitive, and they did. There was no more. You look back in the days of the 40s and the 50s, and the winner, the guy who came in first, you know, you look at, you know, all right, 200 laps completed. Then you can look at the guy who came in second and he finished, you know, he did 197. And you're like, wow, wow. And yeah, I guess it is the old rant, you know. But when you take that product, you have a good core product. Utilize it. Utilize that to the fullest. The core product is the race teams. And NASCAR needs to take a look at why are these, I'm not talking 35th in points back. I'm talking top 10 teams. Darrell Wallace Jr. in the Xfinity was running 6th in points, couldn't get sponsorship, their season ended. Why are corporate companies not coming to NASCAR and saying, I want to be on your car? Because the TV ratings are down. There's nobody in the stands. And to make a return on your sponsorship dollar, you need to have those 2 things. You need to have high TV ratings, and you need to have people in the stands, because NASCAR fans are product loyal. Think about how many people bought STP oil for their oil changes back in the 60s and 70s because Richard Petty had it. How many people ate Kellogg's cornflakes because Terry Labonte had it? Or Jeff Gordon with Pepsi and DuPont. Think about that. That was their only sponsor on the car. How many people switched from the post office and FedEx to UPS because Dale Jarrett was the UPS guy? And then Denny Hamlin comes out with his FedEx sponsorship. Think about that. NASCAR fans are product loyal. And when you have that loyalty, then yeah, you could go to a sponsor and ask for $50 million or $30 million or whatever the case may be. But when you can't sell the product to the people selling or buying the tickets, how are these people who are sitting home and watching something else going to know about your product. Danica Pratt with Nature's Bakery pulled out in the middle of their contract because they weren't seeing any kind of return on that deal. Think about it. When we come back, we'll have the results of the Sprint Cup, I did it again. The Monster Energy NASCAR Cup, results from Talladega Superspeedway, and some of the news that's happening in that series as well when we come back.
Hey guys, this is Jibs from Ocean's 8, Alaska, and you're watching Inravio TV Network.
Hey, I'm Raul Panther.
And I'm Commander B. Hawkins.
And I'm Russ Weller. We're some of the proto men. If we see you without this bracelet, you're punching the But if you have this bracelet from Inravio.com, you can win $100.
Put one of these on.
Or else.
What's up, guys? This is Assuming We Survive, and you're watching Inravio TV Network.
Hey, welcome back. Hey, before I go into the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup results and standings from Talladega, I just wanted to quickly and briefly talk about the book, Stories of the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour from 1985 on. And it's kind of funny, the day after I announced it here and in social media, I got a lot of pushback from some people. In fact, one guy made a comment about doing something to my cornflakes, but it's been tried and failed, and nobody would participate, and blah, 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 and this and that and the other thing. So, and I responded to the guy, you know, thanks for doing whatever you're going to do to my cornflakes. I really appreciate it. But he needed to understand that I was a NASCAR official for almost 20 years. And a lot of these stories I was involved with, some we can tell, some we can't tell. But I want to thank a couple of people right off the bat. First of all, Phil Kurz from NASCAR, from Wheeling Engineering, at the title sponsor, for his putting a stick in my behind and getting me to do this. But I also like to thank the teams, or I should say the drivers and former drivers who I've already reached out to, who are more than willing to share those stories. Some have shared stories already. And I had a nice conversation with Jamie Tomeno, Ricky Fuller, a former Tour champion, Wayne Anderson, a former national champion who ran the Tour for the Bowlers, and just to name a couple in regards to this undertaking. And it seems like anybody who I've asked, including some former touring officials, anybody I've asked are more than happy to sit down and make it happen. So I just wanted to give everybody that update. And I started, you know, I left here last week, and on Tuesday morning I got the flash drive out and started writing stuff. And like I said, there's a lot of those stories that I was a part of, and there's one that I'll share. It was 2003, Stafford Motor Speedway in Connecticut. And I had my routine, because I'm a guy that follows a routine, you know. And I had my uniforms and stuff I needed hanging in my foyer in my home, ready to go. I pack my bags, off I go, kiss the kids goodbye, and I'm in my car, and because it was up at Stafford, I'm going to take the ferry up across the Sound, And as I get off the ferry, I realize my uniforms are not hanging on the hook in the back of my car. So in a semi-panic, I open the trunk. Maybe I put them in the trunk. I know I didn't because I never did. So I open my trunk and it's not there. I'm like, oh, man, what am I gonna do? I get in my car and I hop on 95 and I'm headed to Stafford. Get a phone call from home. You know, you left your uniforms hanging in the foyer. Yeah, I know. So I asked, listen, I'm gonna give you these numbers, see if these guys are still here on Long Island. And there was a couple of Long Islanders that would run in the tour. Then Glenn Tyler for one, Greg Shivers, Tom Baldwin, the late Tom Baldwin, a couple of people. Call me when you get somebody. Well, Tom Baldwin and his guys, they're gonna bring my uniforms up to Stafford. I'm off the hook. Great, because they're always there early. Well, I show up at the racetrack in some Dockers and a golf shirt, and I go into the office. I listen, I'm not in uniform. I forgot them. They're being brought up. No, I didn't say who's bringing them. And all of a sudden, who walks through the gate is the late Tom Baldwin. He's got my stuff, except my stuff's on him. He walks into the hall like he belongs there. He's flipping through papers. He helps himself to a snack. And everybody's like looking, you know, competitors even, looking in the office. And I said, Tom, what's this all about? I'm hiding my head. I want to dig a hole and jump in it and take the dirt with me. And he goes, well, I can't beat these expletives, so I figured I'd join them. And then we all start laughing. He goes and changes, and I have my stuff. And NASCAR said, should have just called. We would have gave you another shirt. So it's stuff like that that we're doing. But anyway, the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup was at the Talladega Superspeedway in Alabama. Brad Keselowski was the winner there, followed by Ryan Newman. Trevor Byrne third. Joey Logano fourth. Eric Almirola, a top 5 in the Richard Petty Motorsports 43, was 5th. Denny Hamlin 6th. Dale Earnhardt Jr. 7th from the pole. Casey Kane 8th. Gary Goulding, a nice run, 9th, and David Reagan rounding out the top 10. The playoffs look like this. Martin Truex Jr., Brad Keselowski, Kyle Larson, Kevin Harvick, Denny Hamlin, Chase Elliott, Ryan Blaney, Jimmy Johnson, Kyle Busch, Matt Kenseth, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., and Jamie McMurray. Kansas is next. 4 teams will be eliminated on the bubble right now in what I call, it's go or go home, is Busch, Keselowski, Kenseth, Stenhouse, and McMurray. Busch and Kenseth have shots at it points-wise because they're only 7 and 8 points back respectively. However, Stenhouse and McMurray, being 22 points and 29 points back, need a miracle, and that miracle will include probably having to win, because a win, you're in. So that'll be good for them. Anyway, what do we got here? With the white flag lap, Ryan Newman has a 2-car length advantage. Then Brad Keselowski gets on his bumper, and it's going to be them. Now, in a super speedway like that, the best place to be is second. However, here's what happened. And Ryan Newman will tell himself that he blew it. Brad Keselowski backs up. He didn't put it in reverse and back up. He just lifted a little bit. Get some distance between him and Ryan Newman. And waits down the backstretch for Joey Logano to catch up. A teammate. Joey catches up, and they draft Keselowski right past Newman. But Trevor Bayne is in tow. He ends up third, Joey Logano fourth, and Brad Keselowski passes Ryan Newman with the draft to win the race. Ryan Newman needed that win to guarantee a spot, as did Brad Keselowski. However, actually Ryan Newman would have been out of the contention because he was eliminated in the last section. But when you look at a racetrack like that, that's good hard racing. That's good stuff. Good stuff. That's the kind of racing that people want to see. They don't want to see that big one that happened and so many people would take it out. That's, to me, not racing. The aero package at the super speedways is fine, in my opinion. I'm not an engineer, I'm not a mechanic, but what they need to do is let the drivers drive the car, get rid of that restrictor plate, and let them go racing. Take some of the aero away. Take some of that, add a little more downforce, but change the front end. See? If you take away the downforce, then the back end of the car is all over the place. Just my opinion. Anyway, Landon Castle was informed last week he will not return to Front Row Motorsports in 2018. Kind of a shock to him. He thought he was doing okay. And speaking of Front Row Motorsports, owner Barney Vassar announced that Martin Truex Jr.'s 2018 season is fully sponsored. Bass Pro Shops, along with 5 Hour Energy, will, in a collaborative effort, will sponsor 30 events in 2018, and Auto Owners Insurance will pick up the other 6 events. Did you catch that? A collaborative effort. 2 corporate giants are going to get together and sponsor a team. Now, I don't know the details, if it's a 50-50 split or a 60-40 or even an 80-20. But this is what you're going to see moving forward, 2018, 19, and even in 2020. You're going to see these collaborative efforts. You're going to see corporations being made of some of the giants to just sponsor race cars. When it happens, remember, you heard it here. Because there's a lot of things that you've heard here that I've said, and everybody was like, the guy's crazy. The guy's crazy, that's what he's talking about. But it seems to always happen. But anyway, I'm getting signals that it's almost time to wrap up. So I want to thank everybody for being part of the show tonight and being part of the chat room, and also for the people who watch during the week, because I know there's a lot of those people as well. Monday nights aren't easy for a lot of people, but anyway, there's a lot of racing still to be had. A lot of the big races in the series, a weekly series, and some of the tracks having these non-points events. So if you're going to go to those, wherever those endeavors may take you, please be safe, please be careful. Tell somebody you love them, give them a hug. God bless you all, and keep James Calder, a good friend of our family, in your prayers. Good night, everybody, and we'll see you Monday.
Inravio.com. Inravio.